Well, let's try and get around load shedding, shall we? Tshifhiwa Tshivhengwa back with us, CEO of the Tourism Business Council of South Africa, on the Tottenham Hotspurs story. Tshifhiwa, glad you're back with us. You were saying that you do not believe it's a good idea for us to spend nearly R1 billion sponsoring that football team. Why do you believe that?
Well, thank you, Stephen. We believe that it's not a good idea, given the fact that we are in a recovery mode. That's number one. And we have worked together with South African Tourism and the Department of Tourism on a tourism recovery strategy. We have agreed that, when we do things, we will do things after we consult each other. And also we must consult each other when we are at an idea phase, not when we have already said that there's a conditional approval and therefore, this is what we want to do. And that's something that we've been saying for the past few years, to say we need to be part of the idea phase as the private sector to make sure that whatever ideas that we workshop, by the time they go to the board, they are ideas that we from the private sector agree with the public sector or with South African Tourism to say that this is what we need to do. If you look at this video, look at the amount of money that's going to be spent in one marketing activity. You can see that, it's a lot of money, and everyone has seen it, almost R1 billion over the next 3 years. We believe that we can do a whole lot more with that money. And also, the UK is a mature market. We get around 430,000, 440,000 tourists from that market. That's pre-COVID. And that number has gone down, during COVID. Now, half of the people, or almost the people that come from the UK to South Africa are repeat travelers, meaning that they already know South Africa. So it simply means that we may not suffer from awareness in the UK market. They know about South Africa. What we're probably suffering from is how do we convert the awareness into an actual booking. That's where we need to focus. But the growth that we need to reach 21 million tourists will come from China and India. And that's where we need to put our resources in to make sure that there's a direct connectivity from the air point of view, from Beijing or from Hangzhou and many other cities in China into South Africa, including from Delhi or Mumbai into South Africa. That's what we need to be focusing on, because that 21 million talks to those two countries as the key markets to reach that target.
Tourism SA, where does the money come from? Is it all government money? Do you, as an industry player, fund it in some way?
We do put some money as an industry into South African tourism. In pre-COVID, we will put in just over R100 million into direct cash injection into South African tourism as an industry through what we call the levy collection. It's meant to augment the budget of SA tourism. And we have a memorandum of agreement with South African tourism that stipulates that before anything is done, as far as the annual performance plans are concerned, we need to be consulted, we need to have an input before it even goes to the minister or to the department or even to the parliament. We need to have discussed these things and be able to agree or disagree on the direction. But we need to talk. But we put money into South African tourism, but also as an industry. We pay tax. And the amount of money that we bring into this country, the tax that we put into the coffers, is a large amount of money, which, funds South African tourism and many other departments. So all we're asking for is that we need to be considered in this decision-making, because we are the ones who transact on the ground. We are the ones who do tourism on the ground. We are the ones who make sure that the clients, have good time and they're able to recommend South Africa to their friends and relatives when they go back home. So we put money in. We need to be consulted, and it's written down in black and white.
Tshifhiwa, you make the point that, we need to be focusing on India and China. I mean, sure, the English Premiership is broadcast around the world. Millions, billions of people watch it. But I think for India, you would probably, if you were going to use a sport, you would use cricket. We have a pretty good cricket team. Well, pretty good at one-days at the moment, maybe not tests. I mean, you would build on the back of that kind of thing, wouldn't you?
No, absolutely. We've got to look at what makes the Indian market, want to travel, and what avenues or marketing platform we need to be, using in that particular market to stimulate growth in that market. And also in China, we need to look at what are the things that we need to do. And also if you look at the U.S. market, the U.S. market has their own sporting codes, American football and many other things in those particular markets. But we need to look at various things. It could be a package of small projects that we can do across various markets that we know that are going to yield some results. But again, we can only do so when we put the best minds in the room from the private sector and the public sector so that we can sit down and debate these issues and come up with a program that we both can follow. We don't need to be having what we're having now, where we have these things that are out there in the media where, we disagree. Someone is saying this, someone is saying that. We need to have workshop this idea internally between the private sector and the public sector and say, this is what works in India, this is what works in the Scandinavian countries, this is what works in the Netherlands, US, Canada, and many other markets. But we also need to focus on the growth markets. If we focus on the markets that we have now, they are reaching maturity stage, and we're not going to get incremental growth that we need. We're going to only get it in the other markets.
Tshifhiwa Tshivhengwa, thank you, CEO of the Tourism Business Council of South Africa. Well,